Okay. Resetting your ADHD family tools to tackle stress and build connection. Just a super quick housekeeping. I want you to be comfortable. So if you are having lunch, breakfast, you need to get up, stretch, move, go to the bathroom, whatever. I mean, not on cam. Don't go to the bathroom on cam, but aside from that, that's totally fine. I'm a fast talker and I tend to move quickly. So if at any point you need me to, repeat something or you have a question, just raise your virtual or digital hand and hopefully I can see you. So my name is Kat. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm an ADHD coach. I'm also a survivor, a ADHD mom of now adult ADHD kids, a community leader, a conscious business owner, an LGBTQ ADHD and disability advocate, presenter, a blogger, a radio co-host, and a dog mom to two adorable dogs. And what's not on here is also a mom to a cat who knows they run the house. The cat definitely runs the house. So just a little bit about who I am and how I got to where I am now. I was the weird kid growing up, the one who didn't have a lot of friends, talked too much, was forgetful, unorganized. Teachers complained that I fell out of my chair, was talking to my neighbors, and most every report card said wasn't living up to my potential. Um, so I became a high school dropout and had a child at 17, and then was mom to two ADHD kiddos that both had wildly differing presentations of ADHD, one that was quite similar to mine and one that was kind of an alien. And that left me really feeling alone and like a failure, like I couldn't figure out ways to help my kids. Um, we did survive. Both of my kids are out of the house and have graduated college to various degrees of success. And then when they moved out, I had no idea what I was going to do because I had spent the last 25 years just being their mom. And not just in a bad way, but that was my focus. And so I fell into coaching kind of accidentally, and then I went and got training. And now I opened my own business 2 years ago and am a successful business owner and entrepreneur. So that is a little bit about me. The Zoom screen disappeared. Okay, there we are. Just checking everything to make sure I can. Okay. So, why I became an ADHD coach, I want to empower people with ADHD and the people who care for them and reduce the stress and foster connection. I truly believe that connection is like the foundation for kids. And I think that gets lost in the correction a lot. So, families with ADHD face challenges that our neurotypical counterparts are less likely to experience, like sleep difficulties, trouble prioritizing, disorganization, emotional dysregulation, struggles with time management, struggles with focus, and more. This is just some of the ways that these struggles show up as fighting to get out the door on time, arguing over homework, siblings fighting nonstop. I know my two, that was one of the number one problems I had was they fought constantly. Cycles of nagging, battles at bedtime, and that's not fun for you. It's not fun for the kids. No fun for anyone. Traditional parenting advice doesn't work. At best, it's ineffective or inconsistent, and at worst, it makes the chaos worse. And that was the case for me. I believe that I tried every piece of neurotypical advice and non-neurotypical advice for a while that anybody gave me. Timeouts, uh, sticker charts, reward things, like ignoring it, talking it through, like everything that at one point, I think I took everything in my daughter's room out of the room at one point because somebody said, take everything away from her. Right. And the reality is, none of it worked. And most of it made our situation worse. And what happened was my kid ended up feeling like I didn't have her back. And so that's the why I'm doing what I'm doing because I want people caring for kids to get there before their kids grow up feeling broken. I'm just gonna check my Zoom again. Let me see. Ah, there we go. Now I can see it. Okay. So it is time to reset your family. So the very first thing is letting go of what doesn't work. Um, and what that looks like for any individual family is going to vary. For me, it was yelling, nagging, reasoning, all of that. I had to just let it go. So whatever's not working, you got to let it go. Next step, building connection. I think. Yeah, I'm going to just go through these fast because I think I actually go through them more in depth in each slide. So there's 5 steps. Letting go of what doesn't work, building connection, that's backwards. Systems and tools that work, collaboration, and redefining success. Step 1, letting go of what doesn't work. So this every member of the family should get input. Where is your family experiencing the biggest stress? Don't try to fix the things, just list what doesn't work and then try to let them go. Building connection. The key to reducing stress, in my opinion, is to build connection. So I work on a 3C philosophy with my parents, and those three are connection, co-regulation, and collaboration. Those are the three that I think you have to have a handle on before effective change can be made. So connection, making time for intentional one-on-one bonding activities, co-regulation, being a calm anchor during your child's emotional storms, and collaboration, partnering with your kids on decisions to give them more autonomy. Um, Many neurodivergent kids struggle with there's different things they're calling it, persistent demand avoidance, pervasive demand for autonomy, but it's where collaboration is going to really work with those kids over being told what to do. Um, when it comes to building collection connection, more is not the answer. It's not about how much time, it's about developing that deep connection, and that they know that they'll be able to trust no matter what, that that connection is there. So it doesn't necessarily mean you have to play 5 hours of games with them every day, but intentional bonding activities, whatever those may be. Systems and tools that work. So simplifying routines, less is more. And this is especially the younger the child, the simpler it needs to be. So less is more. Be clear on your directions and outcome. Um, Focus on one system or one routine at a time. And that might even be focus on one step at a time and manage expectations. None of this is going to happen overnight. And it takes a lot of trial and error and, you know, figuring out what's working, what's not working, and coming back to it. Um, being clear on directions and outcomes. People with ADHD, especially kids, have um, terrible working memory. So when you give multi-step directions, it's less likely that they're going to do those things. I saw this so clearly in my firstborn, and he was only like 4 years old. And I said at one point, I said, pick up your toys and put him in the toy box. And I watched him pick up the toy and then get lost in what he was doing because he didn't remember the second step. And like I watched it happen. I was like, oh, that's that working, excuse me, that working memory piece. So you really have to like focus on one thing at a time and be really willing to step by step directions. Our kids with ADHD and some of their neurological neurodivergent brains, their executive functioning can be delayed up to 30%. So if you're talking about an 8-year-old, they may only have the executive functioning ability in some of their executive functions of a 6-year-old or a 5.5-year-old. So managing what you expect your child to be able to do at any given age is also important. Tools that work. Um, Most people with ADHD need visual cues, checklists, post-it notes, whiteboards, um, things of that nature, calendars that are actually on the wall. Alarms work, rewards tend to work, um, and be creative. I have another coach I know that a client of theirs came up with their child couldn't they were trying to get their child to get ready for school in the morning, and it was a big stressor. They were constantly trying to get the child to do it on their own, and they weren't ready to yet. The mother came up with this. She had a bracelet with some little like charms on them that clipped on. And so the daughter would put the bracelet on in the morning, and as she completed chores, she took them off her bracelet, right? Like whatever you can think of that might work, be creative. So I was like, oh, that's so, and her kid loved it. Like, so that worked. And it probably won't work forever, right? We ADHD folks need novelty. So something that works perfectly for us for a year suddenly doesn't. And then we just have to figure a new way out. Um, Doom piles. Most parents hate doom piles, but they really do work for kids. So what I usually suggest with that is and what we did in our families, we had designated spots that were doom piles, and I had it set up as a laundry basket, and when the laundry basket got full, it went to your room. Like there was no, but having it there helped keep the rest of the room tidy. So I'm kind of for having central locations that you put the things that you're supposed to take somewhere else that you don't always right away. And collaborating. Kids are super, super creative and super willing usually to tell you what they think they need. And so if you are struggling to get your kid out the door on time, try asking them what would help. It's not always going to be the answer, and they may say something that's completely unreasonable, but giving them some input goes back to that connection piece. Step four, collaborating. So in an ideal collaboration, everybody gets their needs met. Um, it promotes autonomy for the child. It promotes problem solving, builds connection. And as I said, kids are wildly creative and are amazing solution solvers. And so how this works, is again looks different from family to family and might look different from kid to kid, even within the same family. If your need is getting out the door on time, but your child's need is making sure they have socks that aren't bothering their feet. Like you can collaborate to find the solution instead of just put your shoes on, put your shoes on, put your shoes on. So trying to collaborate as much as possible from as early as possible um, really helps that reset. Step five, redefining success. So, what is the actual goal in the situation? And what's the most important thing right now? How can I support my child right now? Um, Celebrate every tiny step and be kind to yourself. So, a lot of us, a lot of parents in general, our goals are not the same goals as our children's, right? Our goal is to get to school, get to work, go to the grocery store, fold the laundry, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not often the most important thing right then, right? So I ask my parents to slow down a bit, um, make sure they understand what their own actual goal is, and is that the most important thing right now? And if it is, what can I do to support my child to get this thing done? Um, Success is going to look different. It's not going to be a perfect report card. It's not necessarily going to be perfect attendance. But celebrate every little step and be kind to yourself. Raising ADHD kids is not always easy. And there's no manual, right? I mean, not that there's a manual for any kid, but it's especially challenging with all the executive function, especially if you also happen to have ADHD. So what's next? So I am going to be hosting a 4-week masterclass starting on February 5th for parents and caregivers of kids with ADHD, ages 6 to 18. So if you are feeling stuck, frustrated, or overwhelmed by ADHD parenting challenges, it's going to be a great it'll be a small group. There'll be probably six people in it. And yeah, it's usually a pretty good time. 4 weeks. So it's 149, but then I'm going to send you anybody who was here this. There's a code that you can get it for $99 for all 4 classes if you are interested. Questions? Oop, I lost Zoom again. Likes to hide. Anybody have any questions? I appreciate everybody being here today. If you don't have any questions, then I will let you go to enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. And I really love the bracelet idea. I'm going to try that.
Right? Like, wasn't that a cool idea? So, and in addition to my program, I have a ton of free resources on my website. Yeah, I have a blog, some free downloadables. Please feel free to look around and find whatever resources suit you.
Yeah, I'm on your mailing list. I get
Oh,
all your
great.
stuff. I love it. Keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. I hope you both have a good afternoon. Okay. Bye. Thanks, Lon.